Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to those of you in the room, and welcome to those of you that are streaming online. We're glad that you're joining us today. I'm Reverend Richard Burdick, and on behalf of this incredibly beautiful family that has put together today's service, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. We've come together today to bless and to honor the life, the love, and the light of Kathy Rice. A lot of love, a lot of light, a lot of life. A mother, a grandmother, a teacher, a nurturer, a lover of life, and a friend to every single person that she ever met. In fact, Kathy never saw anyone, anywhere, as anything but a potential friend. Even the most difficult among us, and I'm sure none of you are here, right? The most difficult among us, she saw it as an opportunity to make a friend and to create a friend, and she achieved her goal. Her resume of love is very extensive. We celebrate that today. We're here to celebrate. We celebrate her resume of love even as we grieve. And here's something that can bring us comfort today. Her resume of love is still being built. She still is present and available to each and every one of us at a higher dimension of living, a higher level of expression and being. We're here today to celebrate Kathy's life and the impact that she made on this world and upon each and every one of us. Look around the room. Everybody here was touched by this beautiful woman. And we're here to wish her happy trails, Kathy, Godspeed, and bon voyage on your next adventure of living. Here's the truth. Nobody is in this room by accident today. Nobody's watching online by accident today. Not one of us. But we're here because this beautiful angel of a lady touched our heart, our lives at depth, and we want to say thank you. I encourage you all to let gratitude be at the forefront of every thought you have today. Let gratitude guide our tears. Let gratitude guide our laughter, and I hope there will be laughter. I'm sure there will be. Kathy would have it no other way. And let gratitude guide our remembrances. Let gratitude be evident in every story shared as a symbol of an earthly legacy that does not end, but rather, like ripples upon the ocean, only expands, 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 and continues to grow. Are we in agreement about that? Oh, Kathy says not good enough. Are we in agreement about that? Yes. They're good, Kathy. Most importantly, we are here today to reaffirm our faith in eternal life as we bless Kathy on her ever-evolving spiritual journey. In honor of that truth, I'd like to offer you a poem by one of Kathy Rice's favorite poets, Michael Burke, the poet laureate of Unity North. It's called Loss as Prophet. Death is something only the living have to deal with. Those who have passed are busy being reborn. As the morning dew on fertile flowers that grace our souls with the renaissance of smell, some are just too beautiful to be confined to a body. They are meant to be shared. They are among the mist that makes the clouds, for to rain upon us purely peace. They are in the very air that we breathe. And each breath, each and every breath, divine. They moved us through their existence. Now their existence moves through us. I invite you to put your hand on your heart and to feel her existence moving and stirring in everyone who is gathered here today. Because they shared with us a life of love, we now live our lives with love to share. If we want to honor the legacy of Kathy Rice, it's be a little bit more loving. Be a little bit more kind. Be a little bit more forthcoming with your generosity and your compassion and your words. One of the greatest challenges that we as human beings must face is the challenge of change. And certainly one of the most difficult and mysterious of all of life's changes is that which we call death. Let us all approach this time of adjustment by turning within to the source of eternal life, of eternal understanding. You see, prayer and love, these are the languages of spirit. They are unlimited by space, unlimited by time, and no soul is ever beyond their power and their reach. So please join me as we close our outer eyes, bowing our heads and opening our inner eyes in a moment of prayerful reflection. At the end of the prayer, we have a special song by Diane Cole, written specifically for Kathy. Let us pray. Infinite Spirit of love and life, we feel your presence, the warmth of your goodness and the strength of your everlasting essence. as we look within for the comfort and understanding that we seek. In the awareness of our oneness with you, God, with each other, and with all creation, we feel a deep sense of closeness with all those whom we love, especially Kathy, who has passed beyond our physical sight. With deeper eyes and illumined knowing, we see and feel her now enfolded by life's infinite embrace, and we know that love's light illumines her path like never before. Let us follow that same light and feel that same life as we unite beyond the illusions of space and time. Let us feel the eternal and immortal connection of friendships, of family, and the unbreakable cords of love's spirit as we recommit to remembering the truth of divine oneness. We pray that the strength and the courage we need to connect with Kathy in the sacred sanctuary of our hearts is ours. For it is there that she is found. It is there where she will forever dwell. This we pray in the name of all that is good, holy, sacred, beautiful, and true. Amen. Amen. Together. Amen.
Amen.
Diane?
I wrote this song about Kathy about 2 weeks ago. I had to make sure it was grammatically correct. And I triple checked. It's called She Did Good. Earth to elsewhere, her job here is done. She took great care to leave more magic in the air before she left this world to become an angel. Before she left this world to become an angel. No joke was lost, no mystery was left unsolved, and every book was read, and each flower tucked in their bed before she left this world to become an angel. Before she left this world to become an angel. Ooh, she did good. Ooh, real good. Ooh, ooh, she did really good. In fact, truth be told, she was an earth angel so bold. And at graduation time, she got her wings and beamed that big bright smile before she left this world to become an angel. Before she left this world to become an angel. Ooh, she did good. Ooh, real good. Ooh, ooh, she did really good.
I invite you to all repeat after me. She did good. She did real good. She did really good. And poking at her, she done good. Today is a time of celebration for a courageous and loving life, fully and well lived. Yet it is also a time of grief for those of us who are left behind. All of it is welcome here. All the emotions, all the stories, all the feelings. This is a safe place to express and to experience what you're feeling. Today, we are deeply aware of the love that we feel for Kathy. And we're also saddened that someone extremely precious, very precious, has gone from our sight, but only from our human sight. Let us remember Kathy and the goodness that she brought to our hearts. And let us rejoice in the goodness that she is continuing to share at a much higher level of expression. You know, in the light of truth, it was not Kathy's body that commanded our love, our respect, and our admiration. It certainly wasn't her singing. But rather, it was the qualities that were housed by that body. Kathy used her body as an earthly vessel, an instrument of goodness during her time here on earth. A vessel bearing gifts to everyone that she touched, and she touched everyone she ever met. The gifts of laughter, of fun, of play, and a little bit of craziness. The gifts of knowledge, intelligence, intuition, wisdom, and brilliance. The gifts of strength and courage, tenacity and perseverance, and most especially the gifts of kindness, of warmth, of love, of tenderness, and care. Through her earthly body, Kathy also garnered very rich and necessary experiences with each and every one of you. Experiences that she has taken into her next life expression. The giving was and remains a circle. You blessed her life, and those blessings are continuing at a higher level of being as well, as you will carry the legacy of this beautiful woman with you and be a better person. Now, she has simply laid her earthly body down. She doesn't need it anymore as she continues her mission at a higher dimension of living and a truer vibration of loving. There's a long array of people that want to share about Kathy, and so I'm going to step aside right now and get a microphone, and we're going to open it up. It's a true testimony to the lives that have been touched by Kathy Weiss. And so I'd like to begin the sharing with inviting her son Rick to come forward and to share. Well, let me make sure. Got it? No?
I'm going to try to do this as intelligibly as I can. But what a turnout. Thanks to everyone for being here physically and remotely. On the day that would have been Mom's 40th, 39th birthday. Day to you.
Wait a minute, sing it in your best Kathy Weiss voice.
Yeah, off key.
Don't hold back, give it all you got.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. So as Richard said, for those of you who don't know me, I'm also Richard. I'm Rick. Kathy's oldest, smartest, best-looking child. So we're here to celebrate, to laugh, to cry, to share stories. It's kind of human to say, seriously, why? After the last couple of weeks, it's really kind of a strange juxtaposition to say that, but and that's human. But we really are here to celebrate. It's not about what happened recently, it's exactly not that. The good thing for me, at least, is I don't have to talk myself into celebrating. It's not a betrayal of all kinds of totally valid emotions that we've all been through the last couple months. but it's a recognition. I'm going to steal a few quotes in this. Steve Jobs once said that, we're here to put a dent in the universe, otherwise, why else even be here? You can toss a stone into a pond and it makes ripples. And the most impressive people to me are the people that make ripples without making waves, the people that have enormous impact on others. And you may never hear about it, but they had a lot of impact on a whole bunch of lives. Mom had a whole bunch of impact on every life in here, here or online. It was less about self-indulgence and really more about selfless joy. That was Kathy. That was Mom. No one I've ever known found more joy in creating it for others. As her longtime friend Mike Reuter, who's, I think, joining us online, said, Mom fit 3 lifetimes into one. The ripples she made in so many lives, her dent in the universe goes beyond the tribute in this room. If you look at the picture behind me, so I'm going to steal from other people, but Heidi put it best. I don't know if you could ever see a picture that defines joy as much as that picture. Knowing, finding things out. Mom was all about delight, but not for herself. She delighted in others. Viktor Frankl said that, happiness can't be pursued, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, it must be experienced. And Mom was all about that. She didn't want you to just, be happy. She wanted you to experience happy. So knowing, finding out, delight was what this daughter, eternal student, mother, teacher was all about. Mom found delight every day just in wanting everyone to share in the joy that she had to share. Laugh regardless of whether what she said was even funny to you. But at least she cracked herself up. And there was joy in seeing that, even if you didn't get it. Because that's what great teachers, mothers, friends do. They help you find a path to something. Even if it was a strange path, like buying a book so you can highlight it to learn how to use an iPad, But whatever role Mom served for us kids, she served all of them, teacher, mother, friend. It's enough, I think, I hope, that she played at least one of those roles for every person attending this celebration. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Rick. I'd like to invite family friend John Griffin to come forward now.
Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today with all of you to celebrate the life of Kathy. My name is John Griffin, but most know me by my nickname of JT. I'm from Winter Park, Florida, and I'm here representing the Griffin family. My brother Tom and Jim and my sister Kelly could not be here today, but send their love to Rick, Amy, Mindy, and Heidi, and your families. So how do I know Kathy? It started when I met Rick in the first grade at Our Lady Queen of Martyrs in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Soon after becoming friends with Rick, our families met, and we all became fast friends. My 3 siblings happened to be the exact same ages of Amy, Heidi, and Mindy. This was a friendship that was more like family. There are some photos of us all up there that bring back some really good memories. Kathy and my mom became the best of friends, and when the Griffin and Meyer families were together, we had a lot of fun. Our family spent a lot of time together over a 4-year period, and as I think about that time in my life, that time we all spent together was so impactful, and we had a lot of fun. I have great memories of the times that we spent at the Pink Shell in Fort Myers, trips to Key West, and trips to Disney World. I remember day trips to the Fort Lauderdale Beach, Cub Scouts and Pinewood Derbies, and birthday parties, to name a few. At the end of the 4th grade, the Meyer family moved to Batavia, Illinois, and the Griffin family moved to Sebring, Florida. For many years after that move, the Meyers would visit us during the summers, and more fun would continue. We would water ski and go tubing on the lake. We'd watch movies, music, play board games, and take day trips to places like Cypress Gardens and of course, Disney World. More fun. When we would water ski, we would even try to act like we were the water ski team from Cypress Gardens, all lining up. There'd be like 6 of us behind a boat. It was a lot of fun. Fast forward to when I was in college studying landscape design. I was accepted to an internship in Atlanta, and the Meyers were now living in Alpharetta. And when I contacted them, Kathy opened up her home to me and made me feel like I was a part of the family. I was now an adult, and our relationship during that time was different, but even better. We had many discussions about studies of landscape design and plants. She was getting to know the adult version of me. And in true fashion, from one of her many estate sale scavenger hunts, she came across a set of books about plants that she thought I would like, which I still have today in my office on my bookshelf. I have nothing but great memories to replay in my mind when I think of Kathy. Those memories are ones I will always cherish. As I reflected on these memories and the fun we had, what I've realized is in those moments, those interactions, those connections, and the many wonderful experiences, what was really happening was love. Kathy's love of life and love of people. She was like a second mom to me and always made me feel very special. Today we celebrate the life of Kathy, a life well lived and full of fun, but most importantly, a life full of love. I do believe Kathy is in heaven with her friends and family, including my mom, Jean, and my dad, affectionately known to the Meyers as Griffin Boo Boos. And to Rick, Amy, Mindy, Heidi, your spouses, your children, please accept my deepest sympathy for your loss. I love you guys.
Thank you, John. Kathy, in our last several visits and after she passed, I connect with people who have passed. There's been a lot of smiles. There were a lot of smiles leading up to that moment of passing, and there was many smiles afterwards. And one of the biggest smiles was sitting at that table right over there as her incredibly amazing family came to sit and to plan today's service. And I began to ask the questions that a minister asks of a family, and 30 seconds in, they said, "Wait a second." And her daughter, Amy, said, "I have a spreadsheet." Never was there a more prepared family for a service, and I'd like to invite Amy to come forward now and to share about her mother. I'll lower this for you. Okay. There you go.
Busted. Oh my gosh. So I'm Amy, and I wanted to spend my time today talking about my mom as a role model. As you know, and as you can see from the theme of the day, that Mom requested happy, joyful, fun, and to quote her, none of that sad shit. So I will do my best. And because I'm here to talk about her, that's pretty much the essence of who she was. Wherever she went, there was laughter. Mom was a Pied Piper. Her entire life was spent gathering up friends with the greatest, most wicked senses of humor. And you're all in here, and the rest of you are online, but I can't wait for you guys to talk to each other because it's gonna be fun. I know that for a fact. It is such a great collection of funny people, pranksters, and good troublemakers. And I'm a little concerned that there might be a few pranks played later today, so I'm just gonna check out shortly. She changed cultures anywhere she went. She brought the fun out in everyone. Who else could rally and choreograph an entire faculty, including a full convent of nuns, to do epic dance routines at the annual student talent show? She brought people together with her positivity and enthusiasm. Mom could win over even the biggest curmudgeon. And she was larger than life. Everything she did with gusto. If it was worth singing, it was worth singing at the top of her lungs. In the car, her favorite songs got cranked all the way up to embarrassingly loud, full volume, unless she had a point to make, and then it got turned all the way down. And then she would continue to turn off the off radio while making more points. Truth, right? I'm not making that up. One time she decided, I didn't decide, she decided to make me a 9-layer birthday cake. I heard about that disaster for the rest of my life. Remember when I made you that cake? You didn't appreciate that. I did appreciate it. And something we all get a chuckle about, I might get her in trouble right now, is about how she pushed the HOA code right up to the limit by decorating with her amazing yard art, you'll see some downstairs, to within a hair's breadth of the legal bounds. And let's be honest, it looks like she may have snuck a few items in tucked behind the bushes just to get a few more in there. Mom couldn't do anything small. And I'd like to ask if anybody in here has been around when she's tried to whisper something to you in a quiet room. In a movie theater, where do I know him from? I don't know, Mom, but the guy in the back seems like he wants to tell you. So, or planning a surprise party. Does Henry have any clue? Mommy's right upstairs. Does Henry have any clue? She killed me. Whenever and wherever she walked in, her presence immediately filled the space. And it was noisy upon entry, whether it was her high heels click-clacking with purpose down a school hall, you Rosary people know what I'm talking about, or making her signature greeting to her family, which sounded like this, ooh, as soon as she walked in the door. She lived and loved big, and everything was done or given with abundance. And in all of this, there was one particular area where Mom excelled. She was positively unmatched when it came to asking questions. Good Lord, could she ask questions? To my point. We used to tease her that her daily use of the question mark was 4 times the amount of any other punctuation. We tried to put a quota on it. I am sorry, you have used up your allotted amount of the question marks for this day. It never worked. And I would say in this, she is only rivaled by my Ellie, who is a very strong runner-up. Am I right? That's a question. We're pretty sure she's up in heaven right now getting answers to all the questions. And we had a really good laugh the other day because we think they might be thinking about sending her back down. One reason for all the questions was her endless curiosity, which really knew no limits, whether wanting to know about you or filling herself with factoids, as her Jeopardy friends will attest to. You could not call her during Jeopardy. Everybody knew the rule. We used to call her Cliffy Clavin. This is the face I made when Cliffy Clavin would speak to me. Because particularly when we traveled, wherever we went, she'd say, wait a minute, I read something about this, and we could go no further till she figured out what that particular item of interest was. A lot of times her questions were motivated by concern and her keen observation and interest in you. And she really worried about people. Last week I was going through some stuff and I found a calendar at house where she had written down the names of people that she intended to call and check in on in advance. And I thought that was just so remarkable and a really good idea. But there was one question above all that shaped all of us, and she began asking us this question as early as I can remember. How would that make you feel? That simple question stripped all of us of any defense in an argument and forced us to see other perspectives. It is muscle memory for us. She taught us to put ourselves in other people's shoes, to be aware of what may be going on with others, and to do something about it. It is the greatest gift, and something we employ personally and professionally. Decades before I ever heard the term emotional intelligence, my mother was guiding us by honing empathy into action. And it goes without saying, I'm pretty sure we are all doing that today. Everyone keyed into how everyone else is feeling about losing someone who has made such an impact. And when I asked myself, how does my mom feel about today? I think she is touched and honored and a little embarrassed at all the fuss, but she is so blissfully happy that we are helping each other with our grief by being here together, being happy, joyful, fun, with none of that sad shit.
I feel the applause. That was beautiful. Don't hold back. That was beautiful, Amy. Thank you. I was blessed to get to hear about Kathy in one of my final visits about being a teacher, and I'd like to invite Karen Curlin to come forward now, a fellow teacher. Okay.
Thank you. I think that someone might be accused of plagiarism because I am realizing that there are so many terms, so many ideas that have been captured in multiple presentations. There are so many things one could say about Kathy as a teacher, but I imagine that almost everyone in this room could think back to childhood or teen years and remember that one teacher, your favorite, who stood out from all the rest. My guess is that Kathy Bailey Meyer Rice was the favorite teacher of many of her students. She lit up the room with her infectious enthusiasm and flamboyant personality. Her sense of humor ranged from subtle to wicked, which was perfect for engaging teenagers and adding the special ingredient to all of her classes, laughter. Working at Roswell High School in the talented and gifted department, Kathy was in her happy place. There she found the freedom to create her own curriculum. There she was able to bring her dynamic, authentic self to her students, and they loved her. She developed unique and engaging seminars. From feng shui to foreign films, she activated their desire to learn. She made it easy because the learning was fun, not only for her students, but for the co-workers that were often team taught, with whom she often team taught. Kathy was also an inspiring, fun-loving teacher for so many beyond the classroom. For years after retirement, she maintained friendships with former teachers and colleagues from across the country. She taught us how to be fierce, loyal friends. Those who knew her well relished the way that she could tell a story, which usually ended in a finale of laughter. She taught us how to laugh till it hurt, and her zest for all things Irish taught us that it's okay to just be a little bit quirky every now and then. Kathy's loving presence touched many, many lives, impossible to calculate, but her influence will continue to ripple outward in ways that we can never imagine. That will be her legacy. I'm so grateful to have been one of her traveling companions on this journey for over 30 years, and I look forward to exploring a new kind of relationship, and I'll have to keep you posted on that. Even now, I can imagine her gathering her materials for the next round of seminars, Spaceship Earth Part 2, and the Fifth Dimension Revisited. Happy birthday, Kathy.
It's only fair to hear from one of her students as well, so we'd like to invite Lisa Lukaszewski, close enough? Close enough, to come forward and to share.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lukaszewski, and I'm going to take a page from her book. She always taught us when you're writing, tell them what you're going to say, then say it. So I'm going to talk to you about the first time I ever talked to Kathy, about the last time I ever talked to Kathy, and about a few things that happened in between when she was my teacher and then my friend. First time I ever talked to Kathy is 1986, and I'm 13 years old, sitting front and center thanks to her assigned seating chart in English literature for freshmen at Rosary High School. And she says, I'm going to call on the person front and center to start us off this semester. And I thought, fantastic, great. And she said, Lisa, why don't you tell the class what you thought about the books that we read over the summer? We had to read 4 great works of literature, so I was already not looking forward to meeting this person who had ruined my summer. And why don't you start by talking about the book Rebecca? And 50-year-old Lisa today knows now that Rebecca was one of Kathy's favorite books. I was just at her house last night, and I turned to look at the bookshelf, and there were no fewer than 9 copies of Rebecca stacked together on the shelf, eye level for me. She was taunting me. But 13-year-old Lisa said, Mrs. Meyer, she was Mrs. Meyer back then, all of my friends told me how much they loved this book. They loved it. And so I saved it for last, and I read it last. And I gotta tell you, I did not like this book at all. I said, why did it take her 200 pages to describe the driveway? And she said nothing. She did this. And then she did this. That sideways look she'd give you, like, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about you, right? And it was a rocky start to what became a fantastic friendship. In her class, she built a community in that class where we were challenged by and trusted both her and each other. And she needed to do that because she was laying the groundwork for 4 years of us interacting with each other and learning how to learn. When we heard she was in hospice, many of her former students reached out to each other online and started reminiscing. And a lot of them reached out to me when they heard that I would be here. So I just want to share with you some of the things collectively that come from everybody that we all learned. I can't share it all. There were so many wonderful things that were said, but here are the things that were said probably the most. She taught us that experience is the best teacher. She taught us that the book is always better than the movie. She taught us to suspend our disbelief. She made us promise to read a third of the book before we were allowed to say that we didn't like it. I heard from students who said she read my drafts outside of class, and they were drafts that weren't even for her classes. I heard one student who said, I was a horrible writer, and my grades reflected it. I wasn't good at school. I didn't feel like I belonged there until she let me give an oral presentation instead of writing a paper. And that was the benchmark that changed my life and set me on the career path that I'm on right now, where I speak regularly to large and small groups of people, because she taught me, I want to get the words right, she taught me that there are other ways to contribute and demonstrate talent. I heard about her turning a blind eye to an unsanctioned year-long card game in the back of the senior study hall. She was, you heard over and over again, best dressed. Every single person who talked about her mentioned her smile, every former student. And one of my friends said it best. They said she had a warmth to her that made everyone around her feel safe and loved. And I think that is 100% true, and it's also a great segue to the last things I want to talk about, which is that 30-some years after high school, and there's me with my almost mullet in college, but 30-some years after high school, we reconnected. And I was lucky enough to develop a priceless friendship with her daughters, and their families. The first time I saw her in over 30 years, we were both at Disney at the same time, and we had spent the day walking around together. And I can tell you this, she didn't know where we'd come from. She had no idea where we were going. She was just hanging out with everybody, but she remembered with absolute certainty that 30 years ago, I'd hated the book Rebecca. And it was one of the first things she talked to me about. She was the same funny, engaged, gung-ho person that she had been as a teacher. She delighted in her family. And you're right, you're hearing some of the same words. She was delightful. She delighted in her family. She loved being with you guys. And there's a quote from Khalil Gibran that says, "When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you're weeping for that which has been your delight." I urge you that when you're feeling sad, please look at each other. Because when you're missing her, she left her mark on every single one of you in different ways, but you all carry her and you all carry some of her qualities. The last time I spoke with Kathy was while she was in hospice. And I said, "You know, Kathy, I love you." And she replied, "If you really love me, you'll read Rebecca again." That was so well played for two reasons. Number one, the lover of literature had just created perfect symmetry between our first and our last conversation. And number two, she knew I loved her, so I had no choice but to start reading Rebecca again last night. I love you, Kathy, and I will miss you. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Lisa. I'd like to invite Diane Cole to come back up. Diane, where'd you go? There you are.
I do have props. This is my happy bag, and I gifted Kathy one of these happy bags several years ago, and we had the agreement we would only put happy things in this bag. So I have some happy things in here that I want to share with you. It's been 16 years that I've known Kathy, and my life has just been so much brighter and more fun. I'm going to use the word delightful, joyful. And she was so wise. And she just made everything beautiful. She made everything extra special. It was just always this, whatever she had her hands in just became extra, whatever that extra was. She just made it so, and just simply by being herself, it was effortless. And as she would say, following her muse, it always seemed by following her muse, everything was just extra joyful. And she carried and carries such a bright, bold, loving light, and I see it in all of her children and her grandchildren. And she's so proud of you, and in my 16 years of friendship, she talked about you all so much, and even though I hadn't met some of you until maybe the last month or so, I felt like I knew you, just how much she would talk about you. And Kathy was so creative, effortlessly creative, and we all know her sewing, how much fun she would have with that. We all have our favorite pair of lazy pants, do we not? I know. And every Christmas, I look forward to what Christmas ornament is she going to concoct out of whatever she had around. And this is my favorite one. I've had this one this is just one of those battery-operated tea lights. And, you know, a hot glue gun, and you just stick it on your refrigerator. And I love this little Christmas decoration, but every year she would just come up with the best things. And, you know, she wrote, she took painting classes. Every phone call with her, she was telling me about a new class or something new that she was doing. And she took up welding, I think about, 5 or 6, 7 years ago. And that was just, to me, the most badass thing she's ever done. But for me, her garden was so full of life and joy, and that's where I felt it the most, her love and creativity. And anytime I would walk through her garden, I would just kind of feel like the flowers cheering, like, yeah, we won the jackpot, you know, we got planted in Kathy's garden. She just had that fairy dust magic that she would just sprinkle everywhere. And one of my favorite things that she did in her garden is, you know, she loved to go thrifting and antiquing, and she called me up one day, she goes, I found this rusty old metal headboard, and I'm gonna plop it in my garden and call it a flower bed. And I just love that. I thought, of course, who else would come up with that but Kathy? And we just had so much fun together, so much fun together. We were neighbors for a while, and we became really close friends after we kind of ditched our spouses. We realized, hey, wait a minute. We have a real kinship here. But my life, as I said, has been so much better, and I know will continue to be better because she nudged me last night just about this. And I'm going to tell this story specifically because it's a way that Kathy always followed her muse, and just by her doing that one day allowed me to re-tap into a muse that I had just kind of put to the side. So some of you know this story, and it does come with another prop. It was one winter, and Kathy just found this little goldfish in a metal pot in about, what, Heidi, about this much water, right? And just by following her muse, she took the little guy home and gave him a whole new life, a whole new view of his world by putting him in a glass fish bowl. And that fish was so happy, so she called him Happy Fish. And here's just a little replica. And I don't know, there was just something about that fish. It almost like took on Kathy's personality. You know, it was joyful, and even though it lost one of its fins, it still was just happy. Like every day was just such a beautiful day for Happy Fish. And he would greet you if you walked up to the fish bowl. And so one day, Heidi and I get a text from Kathy, I think Happy Fish is a goner. And I thought, oh no, I love this little guy. So this little goldfish is going to need a tribute song. So I wrote a tribute song, and so there's two good things about that story, and one is just by doing that, I hadn't written a song in years, many years. I hardly picked up a guitar, but there was just something about Happy Fish Needs a Song. I wrote the song, and it opened up the floodgates to me writing again, and that's been about 6 years. I think that was 2017, and has just changed my life to re-tap into and reclaim my muse. So Kathy has given me that gift, just by being herself, just by rescuing this little guy. And she, at any chance she could get, she would just buy me a little goldfish. This is one of about 5 that I have from her. So that's one good point, but the other good point is Happy Fish did live another year. So he got to hear the song, and he did a little backing vocals on my GarageBand demo as well, so that was a good thing. But it's just very bittersweet because I did share that song with you in the beginning. It's like the story just came full circle. A tribute song to Happy Fish, and now a tribute song to my dear friend, who I miss so much. And I just want to end with this, and I'm so happy about this. I'm going to find a very special place. This is Kathy in a nutshell. I'm going to sprinkle the world with fairy dust and make them smile, and I'll giggle.
Thank you, Diane. Everywhere she went, she created magic. And in her neighborhood, it was magic I hear over and over. Lynn, are you here? Lynn McEwen, please come forward and share with us about the neighborhood experience.
Well, number one, I'm not a speaker, not a teacher, but have to see what y'all, oh, there we are. I moved to Liberty, which is our neighborhood, and I've been asked to talk about Kathy's life in Liberty. And I moved in 2019. Heidi and Kathy came with COVID in 2020. And we'd see Heidi and Kathy all bundled up walking around the neighborhood. And we would be sitting on the porch drinking because we all have front porches, and that's how we got together. All the women in our little group would go and sit on a porch in the afternoon and visit. And I think it got us through COVID. So one day, Connie went over and recruited Heidi and Kathy to come over. And of course, we adored her, and we took her in, and she took us in. And from then on, we were a group. And we ate, we played, we did all kinds of things together. And that was Kathy's life in Liberty. But I'm also supposed to tell you about my life with her, because the bad thing about Liberty is you have to walk your dog on a leash. And Kathy has Linus, the precious dog, and I had Molly, the golden doodle. And every morning my phone would go off. Ding. Okay, are you up? Linus is staring at me. It's time to go. Are you up? Are you up? And I would throw on something terrible looking, and I would stagger out the front door with Molly, who was thrilled to go for a walk, thrilled. And Kathy would come around the corner. Kathy had been up for approximately 10 hours, probably. She had showered, she had bathed, she had dressed, she had made the bed, she had fed Linus, she had talked to her angels, she had journaled, she had done a little, it's true. Good morning, Joe. And she was ready to go, and she was dressed for the day, looking great. Looking great. Hair looked great. She looked great. Little leggings on, a t-shirt, and the most inappropriate dog walking shoes you have ever seen. Sandals, clogs, boots, it didn't matter. I don't know how she walked, much less walked Linus. And off we would go, frequently meeting, let's see who else is here, Elizabeth with Toby, her little Pomeranian, who didn't need as much walking, but Toby was game, and off we'd go on a very select course around the neighborhood. And we had to dodge the garbage men, other dogs they didn't like, the stray cats, anything that came along while the dogs did their business. And as we went around, we would end at Marlene's house, where Linus was allowed one treat. And then we would go down to Margaret's house to see if Batman was in the window. Then at last we would get to Kathy's house, where we would have to talk about Joyce, her oak tree that dropped nuts on her constantly, but she adored it and named it Joyce, yeah. And we would talk about what she was going to do for the rest of the day. And Kathy was always so much fun to talk to, just like all of you have said. There was always a book she was reading, a movie she had seen, what happened on Jeopardy. And so we would say a fond goodbye, and Kathy would say, Linus, time for your green beans, and she'd go in. And the important thing is that there were 2 more walks every day, where Kathy would journey around the neighborhood, talking to the neighbors, meeting more and more and more people, she and Linus. And the other thing is that she loved her front porch. She adored her front porch. Linus and I are going out to read today, she'd say. And I couldn't see her, but I could hear her. And she was not reading. You could hear her voice. She was talking to some neighbor or somebody that was coming by. And that was, Kathy was everyone's friend. Kathy was everyone's neighbor. Kathy accepted everyone. Kathy, as you've all said, she loved everyone. And the greatest testament I can say to Kathy, because she moved in 2020, is would all the people that are here from Liberty stand up for just a second? And I can tell you that each one of them has a Kathy story. They would, and probably a Linus story that they would love to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. You know, the real question we're all wondering at this point is, what were you actually drinking on the front porch?
It was alcohol.
Yeah, your secret is safe with me. Speaking of angels, we have an angel here at Unity North, equally an angel that Kathy was, and that's Julie Steele. I'd like to invite her to speak about her experience here at Unity North.
I know that heaven joyfully welcomed Kathy with applause and appreciation for the life she lived on earth, but I don't know if heaven was ready to receive this dynamic powerhouse of a soul known as Kathy. Over the years, we had discussions about what it meant to be a divine spirit having a human experience, and she told me that when she did make her transition into spirit, she had a long list of questions and she wanted answered when she got there. So heaven, get ready. In her life, her daily practice of reading something inspirational was important to her. Sometimes we would discuss the passage and how it applied in our lives and how we could incorporate the ideas into our daily living. She wasn't afraid to take her own inventory and held the intention to be non-judgmental towards herself and others. One thing I know for sure is that Kathy understood that she was a unique expression of the divine, blessed with many talents and a unique personality. Her birth sign was Scorpio, and anyone that knows her knows that she could be intense, powerful, and very funny. Often, she communicated with her angels for spiritual direction and her muse for inspiration in her writing. She had a mastery of writing interesting stories. Kathy lived her divine life purpose through her expression of love for her beautiful family and her friends. She was fiercely loyal and truly cared about other people. Her ways were nurturing and supporting, and occasionally bossy with love. Over the years here at Unity North, she regularly attended Sunday service and participated in women's retreats, conscious living circles, spiritual connection groups, body, mind, spirit meetings, and volunteered at a variety of events such as the weekly Gift of Food program, which provides food for families in need. To me, these are demonstrations of her desire to continue learning, loving, and utilizing her God-given gifts. I'm so grateful that this beautiful spirit was part of my life, and I will fondly remember all of the good times that we shared as we bolstered each other along the path of life. Her beautiful spirit is evolving and expanding as she enters her new adventure. Kathy, have a blast. Love you.
Thank you, Julie. So I understand you need to look out because someone named Bill is coming up here. And Bill is a character. Bill, please come up.
My name is Bill Keeney, and I'm a longtime friend from St. Louis. I was asked to share experiences with Kathy and family over the years. Obviously, we had a long-distance friendship. I could share many stories, but time doesn't allow. I will share a couple. We vacationed often with Kathy and family over the years, and our first time was in 1973. The Meyer family, 5 in all, were living in Fort Lauderdale back then. My wife, Rose, and I spent a week with them. They were living in a small duplex at the time and expecting to move into a new house in the next few weeks. A lot of their furniture and kids' toys were stored in what they called the big truck. Rick was 5, Amy 4. Mindy was high chair age. I don't know how old she was then. But Kathy had to find ways to keep the kids entertained. Her best was teaching Rick and Amy how to play Old Maid. Kathy came up with a new wrinkle. So there was no loser. Everyone was happy. what she did is she convinced Amy that getting the old maid was good. And Rick caught on real quick, and he played, the game right. So there was no loser. And it was creative. Later in the 80s, we vacationed together in Missouri at the Lake of the Ozarks. And since we didn't see each other for long periods of time, when the Meyer family showed up, it was fun the whole week. It was recess, We did the water sports, just floating in the water, having a few beverages. And sometimes we would play backgammon. So Kathy was playing backgammon with one of our group, Mike Reuter. I think you heard his name earlier. And they had a wager. And it was about 100 degrees out that day. And they're sitting on a boat or on the swim dock. And the wager was whoever lost could not get in the water for 30 minutes. They had to stay out in the sun on that swim dock. And Kathy won, so Mike had to sit on that dock. So Kathy immediately jumps in the water and is swimming around, splashing herself, trying to convince him how cool it was. So they had to have another game. And now the wager became more intense. The loser was going to have to sit on the metal dock roof for a half hour in the sun. A few moves into the game, and Kathy got caught cheating. Would you believe that? So immediately Mike went and got a ladder, and I think Rick might have even helped with that ladder. So she climbs up there with a lawn chair and a book, and she proceeds to sit on this metal roof, and she didn't realize it, but Mike took the ladder away. So eventually she was going to have to jump in. But during this period of this half hour, my wife Rose shows up with her sister from St. Louis. And they walked out on the deck of the house, and they saw Kathy sitting on this roof. And they yelled down, "What's going on?" And somebody said, "Oh, that's Kath on a hot tin roof." So, I could tell more stories because it was a week of recess. I mean, the pranks never ended. But finally, a friend of mine went to high school with Kathy, and she sent me a picture of her senior yearbook. And in that yearbook, it described what she had done her 4 years, and then there was a quote in there that she had put in there, and it said, "Exuberance is beauty." Now, if you know Kathy, she was and is beautiful.
Thank you, Bill. The love of Kathy Rice, the goodness of Kathy Rice, I've mentioned a number of times, this beautiful family. And from the minute I visited Kathy in the hospital, the love was tangible of these siblings. You've already heard from two of them, and we're going to conclude our sharing time with a few of the family members. I'd like to invite Mindy to come forward now and to share.
I've performed how many years? And I think this is probably going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. But we're all going to get through this, I promise. Well, I'm Mindy. I'm the third out of 4 kids. And I'm here to speak about Mom, the mom. which is a tremendous honor and also a very daunting task because she was literally the best and incomparable. Mom's journey as a mom evolved effortlessly and seamlessly as we grew, and it evolved in stages. But there was always a common thread, which is apparently the common thread amongst everybody here for every stage. Find the happy, find the fun, find the joy. She did that in every stage of motherhood. To Mom, the healing power of laughter could get you through even the toughest of times, and I am literally counting on that right this very minute. So, in true mom fashion, I'm going to highlight some of the best stories of Mom the Mom over the years. During our toddler years, she was the perfect blend of caretaker, nurturer, teacher, and absolutely the best playfellow. She was a get on the floor, play with you kind of mom. And it was very clear that the toddler stages, she loved every single minute and soaked it up. And she never, ever, ever missed a chance to exploit any and all forms of cuteness, taking full advantage of our innocent ignorance along the way. She loved to, for example, help us name our toys. And the irony of the name always totally flew right over our heads. And I'd like to give you an example right here. This right here, the hairstyle Barbie head, it was called our Marie Antoinette doll. And here is a picture of my beloved stuffed buffalo, Chips. Yes. She also liked to program us with really funny responses that, again, flew right over our heads. People used to come up to me if I cut myself, and they're like, "Oh, honey, do you have a boo-boo?" And I'd be like, "No, it's my injury." During introductions, when it was just Rick, Amy, and me, she would line us all up in order of age, and she would tell people to ask us, "And where do you come from?" And so she'd say, "Hey, and where do you come from, Rick?" Rick would say, "Heaven." "Where do you come from, Amy?" "Heaven." "Where do you come from, Mindy?" "Wichita, Kansas." She never corrected our mispronunciations because she thought they were hilarious, and sometimes they went kind of long, like Rick forever went all the way up through most of Little League saying he was going to baseball practice. And he came home one day and he threw his glove on the couch. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me it was practice?" Amy apparently learned the word tambourine and modesty on the same day. And why that thread connects to tambourine and modesty, I don't know, but that's beside the point. So one time, Amy's running around naked. And Mom's like, "Amy, where is your modesty?" And she said, "In my toy box." So she got a little mixed up. In the pre-VCR era, Mom was often a single mother because Dad, with his job, had to be out of town a lot as an airline pilot. But she always still found time for her favorite TV shows. So, for example, we knew it was nap time when we heard, "Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives." The opening theme of MASH, Pavlovian drowsiness, on the spot. But the best was she was really into this like week-long epic TV miniseries, and she was so into it, and found out that the big finale, the big ending, ended on the 4th of July. And so she was thinking, oh gosh. So she had us out there at 4 p.m. waving flags and sparklers going, "Yay, America!" and had us in bed in time for that finale. She also, when we were little, loved to snuggle up and read to us at bedtime. And she usually chose books that were not always your, typical children's literature. And because ever the teacher, she always liked to make us think and challenge us and, really think about what we were reading. So she would get us all lined up on the couch, and it totally backfired on her when she decided that she was going to read us the story of Joan of Arc. And we were so into it, this story of courage and heroism. And then she forgot about the ending, and she's like, and they burned her at the stake and she died. Brush your teeth. So, and many of us, which we've touched upon her superb sewing skills. If any of you have been in her home, you see, we actually have her necktie lampshade downstairs as an example. She's so creative with her seamstress skills. However, she made some very questionable outfits for us as children. Check these out. We had to wear that. Yeah. So, bless. So now we're on to adolescent and teenage years. And mom had to be, the tough disciplinarian and still the teacher. I mean, she rode us hard because she, in her words, this is a direct quote, and I'm saying it in church, and I'm sorry, I love you too much to let you be an asshole. That was her motto as a mom. A few years ago, she actually gave me a sign for Christmas that is a slightly more church-friendly version of it, which is, be the reason someone smiles today. And can we all agree that that is my mother? Absolutely. Another thing as the disciplinarian, we would always get in such big trouble every quarter when we would come home with report cards that had, does not refrain from talking during class. Let's think about that. She never factored in genetics into our punishment, the fact that we were her kids. Of course we're gonna talk in class. So, she was also, as we got older, she was always one step ahead of us. When Rick and Amy were a year apart at Notre Dame, she would send them money, but she would write the check out to one, but mail it to the other, so they had to connect and get this money. Brains. So, but moving on, mom transitioned beautifully into the next stage of our relationship as adults. She was our friend, our mentor, our frequent travel companion, and our devoted fan always, throughout all of our life. She was always our devoted fan. She never failed to lift us up and make us feel like we could be the best at whatever we wanted to do. I mean, how many shows did she go of mine? Like, every time I was in a show, she would go at least 5 times. So she was always there for us. And then when we became adults, or became parents, she never stopped being a mom, but she was very good about stepping back and letting us parent. She was there for advice if we wanted it, but she never judged, and she never gave advice unless we asked. But she also never stopped caring for us as a mom as well. I am not kidding you when I tell you, when I had a scare with my eye, and I almost went blind in one eye, and she was there going, take my eyeball, you can have it looks just like yours. And I'm like, Mom, you can keep your eyeball in your head, I got it. So anyway, something that I'm really gonna miss as an adult is my early morning phone call from her, which, as Lynn touched on, she was up well before any of us and was just, hi, so how are you doing? And we're like, you're gonna have to dial that down to about a 4 right now, Ma. But anyway, so I'm gonna miss my early morning phone calls with her, and I know there are many, many, many people in this room who are going to miss their happy birthday voicemail, and I hope that some of you have them saved. I'm really mad that I don't, because she was fortunately always with me on my birthday, and those happy birthday voicemails in the key of Amma are absolutely precious. All right, so I'm making it through without ugly crying, and I'm here we go. As her role as Amma to our children had begun, she was, I skipped all that. I wanted to tell you, as her role of Amma, she was the sunshiny glue that kept us all together. And there isn't a person in this room whose life has not been changed for the better simply because she was in it. These last few weeks have been brutal. I'm just not even gonna lie. They've been brutal, but she even stayed herself throughout all of that. Even when she couldn't talk, she'd sit there and listen, quietly. We thought she was asleep and we'd be telling stories, but shouldn't she wake up and correct us if it was wrong? So I know that we can all agree that it was far too soon for her to go, but she made sure that the four of us were ready for it and that she let us know without fail that she was ready for it too. You can show the next picture. We said goodbye to her, but she told us in the hospital when she was still able to talk, "I have no regrets. And if I do, I can't remember any of them anyway." So, I love you, Mom. I hope you're up there enjoying all of this.
I'd like to invite Lindsay to come up now to share about the role of a granddaughter.
My name is Lindsay, and Emma was my grandmother. It's difficult to put into words how much she meant to me and all of her grandchildren. But I've even found myself instinctively wanting to call her and ask for advice on what I should write, because I did that with a lot of my writing assignments in school. But I am also mindful of her preference to avoid any sad shit. So instead of talking about how much I miss her, I want to share things that would make her happy. Emma was a person who could gift you a bag of acorns and it made perfect sense. Maya, Henry, Bailey, Kaden, Ellie, and I all loved her dearly, and we showed it by placing firecrackers under her toilet seat and stringing up an inflatable flamingo in her shower. We did so many fun things together, and she did so many kind things for us. Nearly every time she visited, she brought us gifts in her rose-patterned amol bag. She never missed a birthday, although her birthday cards were often ineligible. On beach trips, it was a tradition to pile onto her bed and watch Turner Classic Movies until she kicked us out to listen to Lord Peter. She often made snickerdoodles that were delicious, but also fossilized after a couple of days. And she sewed us pajama pants with fabrics she thought matched our personalities. She was never any good at cards, but she played with me anyways, because it was our special thing. And I think I even let her win sometimes, so. She left a profound impact on me, and I'm certain that her presence will linger. I've already felt it lingering in voicemails and in the rocks she's tried to mail me, much to the dismay of the United States Postal Service. I've seen her in the color red, and I've heard her to draw circles on my knees when I'm stressed. And when I miss her, I'll order a maple donut at Dunkin', I'll write in my gratitude journal, and I'll watch Mary Poppins. And of course, I'll continue to kick butt and rummy in her honor. I miss Emma dearly, but she's left me and all of her grandchildren with so much. She believed that angels were watching over her, and I now believe that she's an angel watching over us.
You captured her perfectly. We're going to let the youngest sibling speak now, get the last word. Your siblings say you always get the last word anyway. But I'd like to invite Heidi Fairchild to come forward and to speak. Did I miss somebody? I'm so sorry.
So I'm Kaden. I'm Amy's daughter. Son. And so I'm on the other side, and I'm here to talk about Emma as a grandmother, which is kind of hard because I don't really see her as a grandmother. I remember one day years ago at the beach, I was walking to the pool with my dad. I think I had just gotten in trouble, so not much was said. However, when my dad did say something, it was something I don't think I'll ever forget. He told me that Emma said she had a special connection with me, and I realized it was true. Every time I would get in trouble, she'd talk with me about it and walk with me. She would listen to me too, every single time. She wanted me to help me on my path to becoming more honest, more well-behaved, but she also was completely fine with who I was. She understood me, and that was something that was hard to find as a young kid. When I look around at this room and realize just how many people are here, I realize she has a special connection with everyone. Every single person in this room has some type of special connection to her. Everyone loves her. She loves and cares about every single person in this room with such patience, kindness, and humor and understanding. She's my grandmother, yes, but she's so much more than that. She's my friend, my role model. She's my inspiration, an artist, an incredible person, and a singer. I've never really seen her as my grandmother because of all of her unique and loved qualities. Emma has left an incredible mark on this world and made everyone in this room's life better and brighter. She inspires me to try my hardest and be my best every day. There are no words to describe how big of a footprint she's left here, how much good she's put into everyone's lives, and no words to describe how much I love her, but I'll try. I love you, Emma, to the moon and back.
Thank you, Peyton. You know, and I don't know how I could have forgotten you, because Kathy never spoke much to me as the minister of this church about her family, but she spoke about you and helped me with my grandson as well. So thank you for having the strength to come up here and speak today. Now we're going to have Heidi come forward.
I was doing fine, kid. Hi. If you were blessed enough to have my mother enter your dwelling, you would immediately be handed 1 to 7 items. These could include, but could not be limited to, yard art she had welded out of old rusty tools. She had thrifted a sweet potato that had started growing spectacular vines that she once intended to cook but has now put in a pot, because why not? It's beautiful. A rock she picked up on another continent while thinking of you. A clipping from a magazine where, if you read it, if you liked the clipping, you very often ended up with a subscription to the magazine. A recipe she printed off the internet because it sounded awful and she wanted to know if you wanted to try it with her. My mom, and these things would be thrust into your hands on your threshold because she had been waiting and waiting to see your face see them. And it didn't matter if you had pots actively on fire at that time. In fact, that increased the value of the exercise because then it became exciting. No, my mom, there's too much for me to talk about. I'll probably be verbal diarrheaing all over the internet about it in the coming weeks because I'm gonna have to process a lot, but what I keep getting struck with is how much she gave everyone, how much she gave me in particular. She gave me my favorite people in the world. She gave me a pretty great dad. Hey. She gave me my 3 favorite people in the world, my brother, who is just relentlessly curious and seeking experiences, which, as we know, is the best teacher, and just driving to the next corner of the world, and just, that's her. That's all her. My sisters, who are the kindest and shrewdest warrior beasts I will ever have the privilege of knowing in my life. And then all of those people married people that, and then they started having these kids, the 6 coolest people I've ever met in my life. And thanks for letting me hang out with y'all. That's what it comes down to. She gave me you. She gave me And she gave us all each other, and we have so much to share with each other. We have so much to learn from each other. She gave us that. She made me understand what being grateful means, and that it's something that you do, it's not something that you are. You're grateful all the time. I was to know her. You might know, I ended up on lockdown with her during 2020, and that might have been the best gift. I got to spend most of a year with my mom, and we had our dust-ups, but most of the time we had the best time watching old movies, playing cards, trying terrible recipes. She gave me a position in this universe, and I'm immeasurably grateful for it. I want to thank everyone who has come here today. I want to thank Richard and all of the volunteers who have helped make downstairs' this celebration so special. I'm gonna wander around verbally for a while, so I'm gonna get off this stage and let her son-in-law destroy you with what he has created for her. I love you guys. I love you, Mom. And thanks.
Thank you, Heidi. And so there's a special video that's going to be playing here, and David Winter created this. I'm going to invite David to come forward and to introduce the video.
So my job in the family is basically just document stuff. And people think, oh, that's really wonderful that you do that. It's because I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I want to be behind the camera. And after looking through slides, 8mm footage, film footage from the family, camcorder recorded at EP, Tom? VHS footage? And probably about 16 terabytes of Disney footage that we all shoot. And that's not an exaggeration. I realized that there's one person that probably is better at hiding from the camera than me, and that's Kathy or Amma. And I can't figure it out because she's so good on camera. Everything about her just shines through. And the common theme in all the footage that I've gone through is joy. Pure joy. You cannot act as happy as she is. And this leads me to telling one story of some of her last words that have become ingrained in my heart and my soul and will always be a part of me. She was pretty weak at this point, but she was very aware of what was coming. And she was struggling to speak, and for such a loud person, it's a little odd. The first time we ever had to be like, wait, what? And it was hard to hear, but she said, have fun. Just have fun. And so I made this tribute to someone who's had more fun than anyone I've ever met. And it's really one of the reasons I'm having a very hard time understanding my emotions. Yes, sad, but every once in a while it's just happy. It's just happy, and this is why this is called a celebration of life. And this sounds like something everyone says, oh, she's with you. I never understood that until now. She is with all of us because the joy, the pure joy, the love of life has been transferred to us. That's her legacy. And I know that we're all going to spread it throughout the universe as a tribute to Kathy and spread her love. And with that, I'll play this video.
I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Beautifully done, David. Thank you. When I die, give what's left of me, the essence of me, away to those who need strength and peace and joy. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother and your sister walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, hearts touch hearts, and letting go of those that need to be free. I want to leave you with something better than words or sounds. Let me live on in your heart, in your eyes, and in your actions. Look for me. Look for me in the people I have known and loved, and remember. Hear my voice in the blessings I have lovingly offered, and remember. Feel my presence in each other's lives, and remember, love doesn't die. People do. And so when all that's left of me is love, give me away. I mentioned earlier that no soul is ever beyond the power and the reach of prayer, and oftentimes when death comes, especially when it comes so very quickly, it leaves some unfinished business, words that you wished you had spoken, emotions that you wished you had expressed. Let's take a few moments in the silence in a place of sacred prayer and communion with the presence of the One and the presence of Kathy Rice, as we, in that sacred sanctuary of our hearts, speak what was left unspoken. At the end of that silence, I will be offering a song entitled Out of the Ashes that we dedicated recently to Kathy. Let it be a remembrance that even in the grief, even in the darkness, even in the pain and the loss, that there can be something good and holy. Kathy would not want it any other way. It is a legacy that Kathy leaves in each of our hearts. Let us reflect and unite in the silence. We began our service by putting our hand on our heart, and I invite you to do that again as we prepare to end. Out of the ashes grows a seed, out of pain and human need. There grows a bloom that proves to be stronger than the darkness. Within the rubble there shines a light far beyond our human sight. There is an ember that cannot be put out. There is kindness and mercy, forgiveness and compassion as we reach out and hold each other's hand. Let there be giving and caring, something greater we are sharing. From these ashes, let us grow a seed of love. From despair, there grows a tree. Out of hurt community, well, it is mighty and it is strong, offering amidst the night, a little healing that proves more powerful than fear. Let there be kindness and mercy, forgiveness and compassion as we reach out and hold each other's hands. Let there be giving and caring, something greater we are sharing. From these ashes, let us grow a seed of love. From the ashes, we will grow a seed of love. Kathy, we do not say goodbye to you, but rather Godspeed on your way, with grateful hearts and grateful minds for the deep and amazing ways you have touched this earth and the lives of everyone gathered here today. We release you to your highest good with the gratitude that you have deserved, with the love that you have shared, and that will continue through us as we pay your legacy forward. There is a Buddhist belief system, and that Buddhist belief system says that when we leave this plane of existence, we're only going to be asked 2 questions. And those questions are, did you live fully? Did you live fully, and did you love wastefully? I think there's not a doubt in the room that Kathy Weiss has answered a resounding yes to both those questions. And so as we complete, I believe that deserves a standing ovation. And I'm going to count to 3 in a minute, and I'm going to invite you to sing in your best Kathy Weiss voice. Sing and shout and holler and hoot and wiggle and clap and make all the noise as we send her forth with all the love that she gave to us. Kathy, this one's for you. 1, 2, 3. I think she wants a little more. I'm going to invite you as we make our way downstairs. I hope that you all come down. There's some beautiful memorabilia down there. There's some more stories. I understand the grandkids may have a word or two to share. There'll be an open mic downstairs. But I hope that we all go forth from this time and love more fully, love more wastefully, and live your life to the fullest. Thank you so much for coming here. I will let the family go first to downstairs, and they will greet you downstairs. Have a blessed and beautiful evening, and we'll see you there.